Hi, my name is Cameron Carlson with AnimeOnLocation.tv. I'm here at Matsuricon 2024 with Chris Hackney. How you doing?
Doing great, having fun. It's a blast. Everybody's here having fun.
So this is the first time we've had you on camera. How'd you get started in the world of entertainment?
Complete accident. So I went to school to do music. I wanted to perform. My professor was like, "Yeah, no one really wants to hear someone perform classical saxophone, so you're going to be a teacher instead." And I didn't really want to be a music teacher, so I just kind of like did dumb stuff online with my voice to entertain myself. Someone told me about this website where you can go audition for voiceover projects. I'm like, "Oh, this is fun. Yeah, I'll do this." A comedic sort of series of events happened. I ended up in Los Angeles, and then when I was there, I was like, this is where voiceover can be a job. Let's see if it can happen.
Yeah, actually, you kind of sound like a lot of our stories on that is, hey, it was accident.
Everybody has like their own stories. I feel like I know so many people that are like, I went to school for theater. I went to do this. I really wanted to do this. And so many of us are just like, yeah, it seemed like a cool thing. It just kind of like happened, which is great. Like no one's life never turns out how you think it's gonna.
I was going to say, actually, the way I got with John and the rest of the crew was completely by chance and circumstance. So everybody's like, how'd you get started with this? And I'm like, not the way you think. Yeah. So kind of going now into your career, pardon me, you're well known for playing Dimitri in the Fire Emblem Three Houses, the leader of the Blue Lions. How as an actor did you try and convey the emotions the character feels as the story progresses from everyone having fun at school to then their complex relationships as adults?
With everything in acting, it has to be real. So, like, it comes from a place of how does this make me feel? How would I feel about this? If my backstory was Dimitri's, like, how would I have gone through dealing with all of this? Because at the end of the day, even though these are like fantasy characters in some faraway land, they're real. Everything is real to them. So we have to make it as real for us as possible, which sometimes that means like when we're recording, if it's a really rough scene, okay, thanks guys. Can I take like 10 to 15 minutes to go cry on the couch? Cool. Thanks.
I was going to say, because that's one thing I really love about video games is that they're just so multifaceted and layered, and especially if a character sticks around from the like very beginning to the very end, it really, you see that progression so much. So
the arc of their character, like getting to experience that with them, like living their life.
Yeah. Now, again, a show that I love that I don't think a lot of people have seen is you worked on K, Return of Kings, as Yukari
Mishakuji.
Yes, I do not have good pronunciation. How did you play it off with being a great swordsman, especially having to duel off with Sam Riegel and Matthew Mercer?
It was just fun. He was Yukari's whole thing was about the beauty of the fight, because I know in Missing Kings that was the first time he and Kuro came back together. And so that was the whole thing is about like trying to find the fun and the beauty in everything that he's doing. This Tefiti back here is amazing, by the way. So it was just a lot of fun, and I love like the fact that I got to play off of Matt is amazing because Matt is so incredible as an actor and as a human being in general. But and it ended up being not my last time, which is great.
Yeah, actually, we've had Matt on camera a couple times actually. So yeah, he's a really fun guy, and I love him to death. Yeah. Now, speaking of being a little different in character, you had quite the task of playing the main character in Testament of Sister New Devil. You kept it very lighthearted but mature. How did you make sure to keep the right balance while recording the role?
It was our director, Wendy Lee, during the first season, it was an easy balance. Like, it was fun because I worked with so many of my friends. We had fun stuff that, like, we did to kind of, like, poke each other in recordings and stuff. And then, like, Lauren Landa and Xanthe Hyun, we had some fun with some of the scenes and some outtakes that, unfortunately, will probably never be seen. But like it just like with any show, it doesn't matter like the material. I really genuinely try to treat it as seriously as possible, because again, this is a real character, a real person in their reality, really dealing with this stuff. So sometimes that means you got to kind of roll with the punches, and sometimes you got to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it. I own both seasons, so it was a good show in my opinion. Now, again, this is the most common genre going right now in the industry is isekai, and you've done quite a bit of that. So when you are working on those, do you actually get to go look at any of the literature or any of the other visuals before you start working on that? Especially because with isekai, it's so broad on like how did we get to this point?
Right. Honestly, in general, like my preference when it comes to acting, like when it's in a show, like an anime, I try not to look at the source material, because if my character is surprised by something in the show that's happening, I would like to be genuinely surprised, because you can like over-research stuff, you know? You know, you don't want to know too much about it, because then like you get it into your head like, oh, but are they really thinking this thing? Are they thinking that thing? And I'd rather just it be a more genuine reaction to stuff.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm one of the more deeper persons. So
it depends on the show. Yes. Like it depends on the show or the movie or the game or whatever. Because there's sometimes where I'm in something that I'm a big fan of, so I know the lore of it already, and I can't erase that. Yeah. So like it is what it is. But a lot of time, I would rather go on the journey with my characters.
So speaking of that, with games and things, you happen to work on video games in which have their own challenges in form of acting. How do you make sure your voice stays in good health between sometimes from pretty tough sessions of screaming or dying or crying? How do you make sure you keep your vocal cords very healthy?
The biggest thing is like knowing your limits and limitations. Like you have to be an advocate for yourself. So like if I'm going in, if we're going to record something and there's going to be a lot of death screams and stuff, because anytime you do a playable character or someone who is in combat a lot, you've got to do that stuff. So it's either the director will usually make sure we save that stuff for the end, or if they don't, advocating for myself and saying, hey, can we like put this at the end? And then never going, like if on the scale of like 1 to 10, never going to a full 10, let's make it at an 8. And then recovery is usually lots of water, some tea, different like loquat syrup to help keep the vocal cords, and then making sure I'm warmed up beforehand as well.
Actually, I'll get to that in a minute. So it says in your bio that you used to also, again, like we talked about, work on music in college. And that is how you became a voice actor. What was the driving force for the move from music to voice acting?
It was mostly just because I really wanted to perform. Like, I love performing. I love expressing myself. And music let me do that, because in music, it's all about the notes on the page are one thing, but there's also a story behind it, and there's emotion behind it. So that once I found acting, I could do the same thing but with myself. I really just wanted to give myself into that, because it was just another facet for performing. So, and that's all I wanted to do, was be able to like express myself. You know, I didn't really want to teach music. I love it. I'm so much mad respect to teachers. I could never do what they do, especially for as little money as they get, because they deserve so much and so much more. I couldn't do it. So.
All right, and then you also had training from a lot of various sources from some of your fellow actors that are here, and other actors that are back in LA or New York or Texas. Do you feel these trainings have actually helped you in your career as an actor?
Yeah, well, like in general, like no matter what you're doing, you want to learn, because you want to get better. If you're not learning, you're standing still. That means everybody else is progressing ahead of you. I always want to learn. I always want to be better. And a lot of times, like I love doing like workouts and things with my friends, because we can push each other to be better as well. You know, I want to make sure, I genuinely believe a rising tide raises all ships. So I see people that I love and admire, like my friend Lucian Dodge. He is like, to me, he is like the actor's actor. He's the actor I wish I was. So whenever I see a performance of his, like I try to get into that knowledge, and I want to push myself to be on that level where I feel I'm on the same level as him.
Yeah, actually, I would love to have the chance to sit down with him, actually, at some point. I would love that. So, again, we know that there may not be an answer to this, but are there any upcoming projects you want to talk about?
There sure are.
So that's a no at the moment.
There sure are.
Alrighty. And last question for you is, where can we follow you online? And what would you love to say to all the wonderful fans that have been keeping up with you throughout your career?
If you want to follow me, if you're not already, I'm on Instagram and Twitter as Chris Hackney GGK. I might start streaming again in the future on Twitch, where you can find me at Chris Hackney VA. And everybody who's followed me, who's been here, who just likes my stuff, likes my dumb tweets and posts and everything, thank you. Like I genuinely, I don't know the love and support I have from people. I don't know if I deserve it, but I'm grateful for it. So thanks, guys.
Thanks again, Chris, for coming out and talking with me today. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you.